Hello, Rob. I want to get back to the Mavs and the Thunder real quick. The Thunder are an awful transition defensive team, and the Mavericks are an awful offensive transition team according to Synergy. I think they're 29th in points per possession. They're barely over 50%. Why, or at least how can the Mavericks capitalize on this? How do they get out and run? I know Jason Kidd's old, but is this where Boubois becomes a weapon? I mean, how do they? I mean, it seems like that's the way you take advantage of OKC.
I think it definitely seems like that, and the thing with the Mavs is just Beaubois. He makes so many bad decisions on the break. I mean, that's probably his biggest flaw right now. The half court stuff is what it is. He has trouble creating off the dribble sometimes, or trying to do too much. But on the break, he's like Tony Allen missing open court layups. And so I think Beaubois might actually create more problems in that kind of situation than he would help. I think the way that the Mavs would navigate that, I think the way the Mavs could best navigate that would just be by creating more open court turnovers, and by hitting that dog.
Keep going. Unbelievable.
Especially early in the season, Dallas was really good at creating turnovers and getting out in the open court, so they would really need to kind of harken back to that. I think a lot of it is using Delonte West as much as possible. Other than that, we'll just have to see how they could best navigate that, because as you mentioned, they are really a slow break team. They're more of the kick it back to Dirk for a transition 3 type than anything else. We don't need Zach, do we?
Zach Harper, noted professional.
We definitely don't need his dog. Which I think
HoopSpeak Live rolls on. All right, who's your pick coming out of the West? Let's get right down to it.
I like San Antonio, actually. I know Oklahoma City is a really, really good team, and they're dangerous in a lot of ways. I watched that Spurs offense function, and honestly, if I was a defensive coach, I wouldn't even know where to begin. It's so hard to contain Parker and himself. And then when you look beyond him, countering Ginobili, and then you can't really game plan to stop guys like Kawhi Leonard or Danny Green. I mean, I'm always a fan of teams that are really reliant on their role players, especially through kind of stable mechanisms of offense. And Tony Parker's just been too good this season to stop, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is. One thing that I've noticed about him that I love is how money he is on jumpers. Like, he'll come down and roll right. No one seems to get more wide open for 16-footers than Tony Parker. He'll come down on the break and catch a quick rub screen, and suddenly he's just entirely by himself. Is that just because he sets up the screens better? I mean, talk about the way he uses those screens.
I think it's one of those cases where it's a pick your poison kind of thing, and teams are so afraid of not only the drive, but his ability to create contact, where if you shade him even too much, then he just draws the foul. I mean, he's so good at that, just like Chris Paul is. And while Chris Paul's jumper may be a bit more respected, it's really amazing how far Parker has come in even the last 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, it's at the point where the Spurs are running pin downs for him, those little curls to the elbow. It's ridiculous how often they use those, especially in comparison to where he was, a few seasons ago. So I think it really is just a case of teams being so afraid of his speed and so afraid of those corner shooters that that's what they choose to give up, and he's making everyone pay for it.
Yep. All right, well, you have to pick your poison with him, and you have picked your poison. You picked the Spurs, so we'll hold you to it. That's my pick as well. Ethan, who do you have?
I got OKC.
All right.
Someone's got to have confidence in him.
All right, thanks a lot, Rob. We got a lot to do.
I'm accounting for the annual Manu injury.
Sorry,
nice.
I was just saying. Thanks for hopping on my goodbye to Rob there. I appreciate it. Rob, thanks for coming by, man.
Sure thing. You guys have a good one.
All right, you too.